Hi, I haven't made a video in a good long time, and I wanted to make one to say my birthday came on the 21st, and I'm 23 now, and I got mostly a lot of Angel graphic novels, which is good because the sixth season of Angel, just like the eighth season of Buffy, is, in comic form, and I've been the laziest fan ever when it comes to Angel, and I've barely read any of it at all. And I actually watched all of Angel in 3 weeks, and I didn't get too much else done. I just, compulsively watched Angel, because I kind of forgot how good it was, because I watch Buffy all the time, but I don't really watch Angel, and I think maybe that's because, and to spoil this for you guys who, sorry, haven't seen Angel, but, when Fred died, I was so mad. That is like the maddest I've ever been at Joss Whedon, and when it happened, I yelled at my sister, I'm never watching Angel again. I'm just never gonna watch it ever again. And, we both knew that was bullshit, and of course I still was gonna watch it, and that's part of the reason why I was so angry that, Joss Whedon can do anything, and I'll still watch his shit, because I think he's a genius. If I ever met him, I'd probably just start weeping because of how much his works has meant to me, and how I've been helped and changed by the things that he's made. So yeah, it's really good. I'm reading Angel. Also, another thing I got was this big ass thing called Tales, and it has both tales of slayers and tales of vampires in here. So I read all of them, and I'd really like to do a more comprehensive review on this, but overall it's really cool. Like, it's a bunch of different stories of various slayers. Like, I don't know if you guys know, basically how it works in the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is that there's this girl who's chosen from a whole host of potential slayers, and when a slayer dies, another potential is chosen, and she becomes the slayer. Like, she's super strong and super fast, and she's able to sense vampires. She has dreams of past slayers, and sometimes has visions. So that's a slayer. Throughout history, there's always been a slayer who fights vampires. Of course, the best stories are the ones, both Tales of the Slayer and Tales of the Vampire are the people who, wrote the show, like Jane Espenson and Drew Goddard, who I love Drew Goddard, and Doug Petrie, who's so funny. He's so funny, and I love him too. They wrote both Slayer tales and vampire tales, and Amber Benson, who played Tara, she wrote a story, and I liked her story too. And of course, Joss wrote, I think the best story in here is one that he wrote about a vampire called Stacy. That was probably my favorite one. Yeah, but some of them are really weak and kind of stupid. But yeah, the art is all different for each one. Like this is like about a medieval slayer, and that's how that looks. And then this is Slayer in the French Revolution, and yeah, this is about a slayer in the during the Nazi occupation. She's a German girl, and there are Nazis who are killing Jews. So, like Nazis do. Or they're just taking them away, rather. And then there's this, which, the point in this picture is you're supposed to, like, guess which one of these in here is the vampire. And, of course, it looks, like a children's book. And it purposely looks like a children's book because, it looks all, warm and pretty and Christmassy, but, there's somebody in here who is going to kill you. So, yeah, it looks very different. Of course, like, content has over art for me always, no matter what I read, which I know some people don't like Rumiko Takahashi because all of her character designs look the same, and I'll never disagree with that, but I love how she writes character and, her humor with, I love her humor, so I love her as a writer, not necessarily as an artist, but yeah, like, the writing is always more important to me than the actual art. But, but I'm definitely saying that there is stuff here, for people who like the art, too. Yeah. I guess I could even read a story. I feel like I'd be for reading to children. Of course, all of us are somebody's children, but you know what? It's my channel. I'm going to read one of these and see if it inspires anybody who is a fan of Buffy. Certainly, if you're a fan of Buffy, get this, because I loved, I read this whole freaking thing in 2 days. I just didn't want to put it down, and I loved it. Right. And also, if you're not a fan of Buffy and you're just kind of interested in the world, like, you don't need to know anything about the characters. Basically, this whole thing is just world building. So in a way, it's kind of outsider friendly. So Righteous is this first story, and it was written by Joss Whedon, who is the creator of Buffy and Angel and Firefly and Dr. Horrible Sing-Along blog and Dollhouse and other cool things, and he's one of my heroes. I found her first at evening prayer inside the small stone church, so shoulder stooped, so wan with care, the object of my search. She would not heed my tale at first. I'm told it's often so. She neither fought nor cried nor cursed. She simply answered no, just no, and turned. I ran behind to ask, how can you know? For God is good, and God is kind, and would not curse me so. So this guy here is probably a watcher, and he's telling her that she's called to be the Slayer. But she could not for long deny the power in her veins. She said, Christ suffered, so shall I to thank him for his pains. And so she trained, she studied, fought, preparing for war. She soaked up all that could be taught and still desired more. No longer pale but flush with life, she strengthened every day. Young men on hunt to find a wife, surprised, oft looked her way. But like a nun, she'd none of love. She could not be seduced, for she had him who reigned above, and more, she had Saint Just. Saint Just had been a vampire long before my father's birth. And where he went, hell came along to burn the cursed earth. He made his way, his pack in tow, from town to wretched town. He spread them wide, he laid them low, and laughing burned them down. And the world thought the village spread, as I'd already learned. The neighboring towns lay bathed in red. Saint Just had this way turned. So there she's training. There's the vampire. Okay. Alright. They huddled in the darkening church, their terrors running wild, till softly from his stony perch the Father Reverend smiled. The shepherd does not leave behind the lamb that tiring falls, and God is good, and God is kind, he will protect these walls. The walls withstood Saint Just, it's true, he could not smash them in, but since he learned to climb, he knew he'd have the meat within. It's started by the eastern gate, one family still abed. Their child cried out for help, too late, and fear like fire spread. To arms, the men were called, but none was man enough to fight. In St. Just's way there stood but one maiden dressed in white. So, there she's dressed in white. There's the kid getting killed, because, as Joss said, subtlety is for little known. So, of course he's gonna kill a kid. And there's a priest. Alright, and those dared to look that night, a glorious tale could tell. The girl who faced the devil's might and sent him back to hell. So there's that cool image. His brothers hissing vengeance vowed, as from the town they fled. We'll break you, girl, we'll see you cowed. Please try, was all she said. So the gates were shut upon the creatures of the night, but the danger was still not gone. Still, all was not yet right. Beware, intoned the wide-eyed priest, his voice at fever pitch. A vampire is a horrendous beast, but worse yet is a witch. That girl has power like none before. 'Tis evil, by St. Paul. She walks with the darkness, Satan's whore. She's here to damn us all. There's but one way to save this town, and please our heavenly sire to bring that wanton woman down. So, okay. Yeah, looking all suspicious, and then they're capturing her. And purge her soul with fire. So the line is to bring that wanton woman down and purge her soul with fire. Because it shows fire on the next page. Foremost, it does not last so long. The smoke their breath will take. But she was strong, so very strong, she burned up wide awake. I brought her this great reward, with talk of destiny. She cried out, Father, help me, Lord, but kept her eyes on me. This town made merry, gambled, died. They'd nothing now to fear. So this guy here, that guy's her watcher. And, she looked at him while she died. A watcher is generally a man who watches over a slayer and trains her and prepares her to fight vampires and teaches her things. So yeah. They burned the darkness from my mind. The world at last was clear. For God is good, and God is kind, but he's not welcome here. So, okay. At the end, the St. Just's vampire guys come back and kill the people. And, Joss Whedon is an atheist, so of course he'd say something like, for God is good and God is kind, but he is not welcome here. So yeah, that's this. I threw off the jacket, but Tales, I thought it was awesome, although there are some stupid stories in here too, but overall, totally worth it. Okay, Sayonara, auf Wiedersehen.